Hey, good morning, everyone. We're here to build a small pondless waterfall. The team is here on a Saturday. We are at Gertens Summerfest event, and we're building about a 6-foot-long waterfall. The whole goal of today's episode, this episode, is for you to leave it going, yeah, that is something I can do for myself. I could totally put in that small waterfall at my house with a couple of friends. Yes, you can. Just know that this is 20 years of experience going into it. We're going to be able to teach you 20 years worth of experience, showing you some of the things we've learned over the years on what to do, and more importantly, what not to do. It is simple, it's just not always easy. So you're going to want to make sure you have at least another friend to help you, because bigger boulders matter. All right, exciting. We have everything we need to build our pondless waterfall for Aquascape products. We've got our hardscapes over there that we'll be able to feed off of. So we've got an 8x10 liner. That's what you're going to use for your basin. We've got our pump housing unit. It's called a pondless vault. We've got a 10x10 liner. That's what we're going to end up using for our stream. Then we've got 3 small aqua blocks. We'll show you how we build those here in case you missed it. Then we've got some fabric. We'll show you how we like to use the fabric, and we brought some extra just in case. We have the install kit that Aquascape sends with it that we will also be using. And then we've got some other parts we kind of adapted. So dual union check valve, that's one of the things we really like to use. Some silicone, we'll show you what that comes into play for, and waterfall foam. We're going to be using our own waterfall foam kit because it just has a little bit more control. So with aqua blocks, you use these small panels. They're kind of the wide ones, not the narrow ones. And then you want to make sure you put them on the ring. So you're going to find the center ring, go to the next ones outside of that. So that's how we distribute the weight properly. If you end up doing it a little bit differently, you can really mess it up. So you want to make sure that you're doing these in equal spacings so that they maintain their structural integrity. What you're going to end up having is 3 equal holes in there. So what this is doing is it's allowing us to have the right amount of water volume so that we can run the waterfall. So when you're building this yourself, there are design limitations. That design limitation is making sure you don't go bigger than 6 foot long by about 1.5 foot wide, because you're going to end up having too much water in suspension. When these aqua blocks are built, they are nice and strong and sturdy. You know, I'm not a very light person by any means, but you can stand on the middle of them, you can stand wherever, and they're going to be able to hold and distribute that weight in a real cool way. So once we have our aqua blocks built, now we decide on how we want our hole to look. So when we're doing this, we want to make sure we have some interaction coming into this. So we oftentimes will play with our configuration, because I want to make sure that we have water coming in over this, and it's not just a huge rock pit, but we also have to make sure we have access to this pump housing unit. A hole saw, so that might be something you might want to get in the long run, because we're going to be setting this orientation to make sure that the plumbing goes to the right side. That plumbing going up on the right side is just going to make it really easy for it to be a shorter run, which means we have more water volume, and then we're going to be able to hide the plumbing, because I'd like to have the starting point be on the right side of those boulders coming down and twisting this way. All right, so it's going to be 46 by 46 is the hole we're going to dig, and then we'll show you how we kind of position everything in there. Put in different rock and gravel. We love to use our smart level. In this case, what we're doing is we're deciding where it's going to be viewed from. We set that as our 0 spot. Now we know that we have to dig down 9 inches plus an extra 2 inches for gravel. So we're going to be digging down about 11 inches. Now the guys have the hole dug just how we'd like. It's about 12 inches deep, 11 inches deep. What we're going to do is just put a little thin layer of this topsoil in there. What that's going to do is just leave a little cushioning, so if the aqua blocks do settle, they're not going to settle on that hard class 5. We do recommend doing that. Even though we're going to be putting down fabric, we still like to do a little extra things to be careful. Now that the hole's dug and ready for our aqua blocks, we have to sink this down another 7 inches. So this is really cool. What I was trying to say about Aquascape stuff all plays really nicely together. This boot is going to end up being our deepest spot, and the aqua block sits right on top of the boot and comes to about here. One of the things you want to consider is making sure you have unimpeded water access to the pump. So you want to make sure that that aqua block is nice and tight to this, and you don't put any gravel or anything around this, because that gravel is going to get plugged up with sediment over time. Another thing we highly recommend is if you do go shopping at Home Depot or anything for projects around the house, make a couple buckets your shopping cart. These are very handy when you're building a water feature or doing anything around the house really, but they're one of our best friends. But what we end up doing, and we'll show you as the day goes on, is filling them with gravel, and that way we can pour the gravel exactly where we want it, and it comes in really handy. So we do recommend a 2-inch hole saw. This is going to come in handy in case you have to do what we're doing now. It's all about orienting, making sure that the water is coming in the right way, that you have access to this in an easy way. But we like to have the shortest distance from the plumbing to the starting point, because that's going to maximize your water flow. Some of the tools you're going to want to have when you're building your water feature, you're going to want a couple of spade shovels, you're going to want a couple of flat shovels, one of each would do, especially when you're building at your house. We recommend having a heavy-duty knife or a sharp knife, something like this from Milwaukee. This is what we like to use to trim our fabric. Well, you're going to want to use when you're trimming your fabric. We always like to recommend having a nice can of spray paint, marking paint. We really recommend using either white or pink, because the other colors represent some kind of utility in your yard. Always be sure to call 811 before you start building this in your yard. Even though it's not a very deep hole, you can find yourselves, sometimes electric lines are not as deep as they're supposed to be, because a lot of times communication lines are right at the surface, cable lines are right at the surface. So I highly recommend calling 811 about 2 days before you're ready to dig. I'd like to recommend that you call them about a week before you get started on your project. We're getting the basin ready, so that's our main holding area for all of our water. Again, remember, we want to have this running at about half full. And now Justin's coming in with the 8x10 liner that comes in the kit. We like to use the 8x10 for the actual basin. You just want to make sure that you have enough that it's coming up over the edges, and that we can fit those aqua blocks in there, as well as the pump housing unit. So you can see where we put that boot an extra 7 inches below where the aqua blocks are going to be. We step that in, and now you're going to see how the aqua blocks line up really nicely to that. So the main goal is 3 aqua blocks. Each one of these small aqua blocks holds 17 gallons of water. I have not done the math yet on the 6-foot wide waterfall, but I will in a minute here. Right now we have plenty of water volume to play with, and now the guys are going to start backfilling, locking those aqua blocks in with extra gravel. This is a real awesome system. It's what's going to allow you to take the pump in and out in the winter time. You could run this theoretically in the winter, but what I found when I had my own is in the summer I'd only have to fill it once every 2 weeks. Come fall, I'd have to fill it about twice a week. And then winter was like 3 times a week. We do recommend doing a fall shutdown and just pulling the pump, and this is a really easy way to do that. It's called a dual union check valve. All you have to do is unscrew this union fitting, and this is going to get plumbed in. We'll show you that. And this will be attached to the pump here. You just pull that whole thing out, and that's going to go into your house and somewhere where it won't freeze. These new pumps are awesome. They're magnetic driven, so you don't have to worry about putting it in a bucket of water for the winter. You just have to put it somewhere where it's not going to fall down or break. And you don't want to put it outside where it could freeze.
Often we'll be installing a float valve in here for an automatic fill. There's nowhere for them to run it at this time, so you can install it later. But right here, I can show you in a little bit. We have one in the trailer, I think, but there'll be a little float system that can be autofill, so it will keep it at the right height for you.
Another little tip is this Christie's Blue Glue is really great stuff. It's a primer and a cement in the same thing. This comes with the D.I.Y kit, but make sure when you open it, you don't open it over something permanent like this retaining wall or pavers or concrete. If it does spill on that, it's going to last forever, and it's going to stain the concrete or your pavers. So we're always careful about where we put our glue. Again, things we've had to learn by doing it the hard way. All right, so when you're looking at your plumbing, you just want to make sure that you don't have any crushed pipe on there where you're going to be putting the plumbing fittings. This came in a great way, but sometimes they do come where they're crushed, and you just want to pay attention to that. If it does come crushed, just cut off the crush point and start at a different spot. Another thing you're going to notice is they come with Schedule 40 fittings. So these are deeper sockets. Whenever we're using the flexible PVC, we want to be sure that we're using those deep sockets. And we're always paying attention to what this cut looks like so that it's not at a crazy angle. You want it to be fairly straight so that everything can sit in there really nicely and get a good surface contact with that glue in the plumbing fitting. That's a PVC cutter that we have. It works up to 2 inches. You can use a reciprocating saw or a sawzall, and that works really well. What happens when you use a sawzall, it's going to chew up the liner a little bit, the plumbing a little bit. You just want to clean that off so that you don't have all that debris that would get glued into the fitting. Selecting our rocks based on their characteristics for how the water is going to fall off of them. What we want here is just kind of a sheeting area, and then the water will pool up and disappear into the gravel here. If we fill this in too much with gravel and too much water, we're going to end up finding that there's too much debris collecting here, and the water can't make its way down into the basin. What happens then is the water will ride over the debris, and then it'll go outside of the liner, and you'll think you have a leak. So now we'll bring in our next character boulder as a frame, and we'll put that in so that it's hugging up tight. Again, how Mother Nature works is over years it's going to shift, it's going to fall down into place, and everything really locks in a cool way. So that's one of the things we're trying to emulate when we're building, is how Mother Nature would do it over time. We like to just recommend getting a couple of these larger ones that you and a friend could do and move into place, just because it's going to make it feel like it's more natural. And then we're looking for these kind of cool characteristics, so they're not all perfectly round. They have some different shapes and stuff on them that'll create shadows at night when the outer water lights come on, and it also makes it feel like the water really carved its way out through over time. The reason we like to use the big rocks at the beginning is everything else we're going to have to start lifting to get up in there. One thing we always like to do is go about 2 inches below that waterfall rock with our dirt. That way it's going to hold back all the gravel without the gravel washing down the waterfall. If you're doing your flat areas, make sure that you have yourselves 2 inches below the waterfall rock with the dirt work, and then the rest will fill in with the boulders, waterfall foam, and more gravel. So, all right, one of the things we always consider is where you're going to be looking at it from. So we want to keep our low profile stuff as you're coming in to approach it, more of the support large stuff on the far side. So you're going to see us move this big guy into place here soon. That's going to get up on top of that red rock, but we're going to keep this low profile rock on the front side. Again, we're trying to invite people to come and look at the waterfall, and that's how you're going to want to do it at your own home. Where are you looking at it from? Are you looking at it from a patio? We'll keep those low profile rocks from the patio view, get the big stuff on the back side, that retaining side. All right, so the waterfall foam is how we control the water going up over the rocks, not so much to control any leaking. As you notice when we're building, we have extra liner on the sides everywhere. The waterfall foam is all about making sure that water doesn't take the path of least resistance. Well, it's still going to take the path of least resistance, but we're trying to change that path to be up over the rocks instead of down underneath it and through the cracks. I'm going to show you what the rock sling's all about and how we can do it. You can move a big rock fairly easily with a couple people, or if you do have 4 friends that are going to help you, or 3 friends and yourself, everyone grabs a corner and it makes it really quite easy. So Brad's up here working on our spillway, making sure that it's level side to side and that it's got a quarter pitch coming towards us. And then after that's done, we're going to have our last waterfall rock going in, and before you know it, we're going to get to plug it in and say, check this out yet again. All right, so we've got the last waterfall rock in place right now. The guys are working on making sure the water comes up over that rock. So we're gonna do more foaming. We got the diffuser in. You got to see the guys hooking up the plumbing. So in this case, we used a 90-degree elbow Again, that's something that they're going to have here at Gertens for you. It's an 1.5 inch elbow or a 90-degree turn. Again, it's all about spacing and making sure that we can make it fit. And again, we always like to recommend that you get more rock than you think you need, because it's always nice to have complementary rocks, but nothing can stop the progress of a project like going, oh no, I need another 6 boulders. All right, so we always do an initial plug-in to see how the water's acting, and then we have to do some tweaking. Right now, the water wasn't going over that main waterfall rock the way we wanted it to, so the guys are tweaking it. They're gonna put in some select rocks to fill in some gaps. Then they're also gonna put in some waterfall foam. We did it. I am so proud of my team. The guys just kept a steady pace all day. Gertens Pondless Waterfall is complete. Check this out. Can you see why I was so excited to be working with Gertens? This is what makes water features really pop, is when they have their green thumb, they come in and they plant it with some really awesome perennials and some things that are going to grow over time and really even make it look better as it matures. But man, it is looking fantastic. We are about 2 months after us installing this, and it is running really well. They have been just tremendous to us. We love this relationship with Gertens. If you are thinking about doing this yourself, just reach out to us. Hopefully this video was something that helped you feel like, yes, I can do this. I'm excited to go build my own waterfall. But if you still have questions after watching this video, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are Pond King Water Gardens. You can find us on Google, or you can text or call me at 952-454-3101. Thank you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you feel like you learned something too, because we're going to keep showing you cool tips and inspiring things on our video and showing you that water features are fun. I'm Nick the Pond King with Pond King Water Gardens, living works of art, 1 yard at a time. I'm so happy to be working with Gertens. Love these guys.